The Winter Olympics are upon us. Here's how to follow along. Want more Olympics updates? Get our behind the scenes newsletter for what it's like to be at these games. It's the Winter Olympics, that special season every 4 years in which everyone you know is suddenly an expert on luge strategy and curling technique from the comfort of their couch. There's plenty to dive into this year, at the unusually spread out Milan Cortina Olympics. Hundreds of athletes from around the world, including 232 from the US, will descend on over 24 venues across northern Italy to compete in 16 different sports. There are 116 medal events on the line throughout the 2.5 weeks. And this time, unlike the COVID-era 2022 Beijing Winter Games, spectators will be allowed to watch in person. But you don't have to board a plane or sport hand warmers to get a good view, thanks to NBC's robust broadcasting rights and NPR's scrappy team of journalists on the ground. Here's how to follow the action and peek behind the curtain from home. How to watch the opening ceremony. The February 6th opening ceremony marks the official start of the Games, even though several sports, including curling and ice hockey, start competing 2 days earlier. It will be held primarily at the historic San Siro Stadium in Milan, featuring performances by icons like Mariah Carey and Andrea Bocelli, as well as traditional elements like the Parade of Nations and the lighting of the Olympic cauldron. But there will also be simultaneous ceremonies and athlete parades at some of the other venues, scattered hundreds of miles apart, and, for the first time in history, a second Olympic cauldron will be lit in the co-host city of Cortina d'Ampezzo. NBC's live coverage of the opening ceremony, also streaming on Peacock, will begin at 2 p.m. Eastern Time on Friday, February 6, with a primetime broadcast planned for 8 p.m. Eastern Time the same day. How to keep up once the games begin. There are 16 days of competition between the opening and closing ceremonies, with contests and medal events scattered throughout, depending on the sport. Here's the full schedule. Events are listed in local time in Italy, which is 6 hours ahead of Eastern Time. NBC says it will broadcast events live throughout the day, with a nightly primetime highlights show at 8 p.m. Eastern Time, followed by a late-night version. US-based viewer can watch on NBC, Peacock and a host of other platforms, including the apps and websites of both NBC and NBC Sports. Seasoned Olympic viewer will recognize Peacock viewing experiences like Gold Zone, which whips around between key moments, eliminating the need to channel surf, and Multi-View, now available on mobile. The February 22 closing ceremony will be broadcast live starting at 2:30 p.m. Eastern Time, and again on prime time at 9 p.m. Eastern Time. It will take place at a historic amphitheater in Verona, which will also host the opening ceremony of the Paralympics on March 6. Some 600 para-athletes will compete in 79 medal events across 6 sports, including para-alpine skiing, sled hockey and wheelchair curling, before the closing ceremony in Cortina on March 15. How to follow NPR's coverage. All the while, you can check out NPR's Olympics coverage to better understand the key people, context and moments that make up the Games. NPR's 5-person Olympics team will bring you news, recaps and color from the ground in Italy, online, on air and in your inbox. Plus, expect updates and the occasional deep dive from NPR's journalists watching from DC and around the world. You can find all of NPR's Winter Olympics stories, past, present and upcoming, here on our website. To listen to our broadcast coverage, tune to your local NPR station and stream our radio programming on npr.org or the NPR app. Plus, subscribe to our newsletter, Rachel Goes to the Games, for a daily dose of what it's like to be there in person. We'll also have a video podcast, Up First Winter Games, to further dissect the day's biggest Olympic stories and oddities.